Jan Vermeer, sometimes referred to as Johannes Vermeer, was born in the year 1632 in Delft, a city in what was then known as the Dutch Republic. His father worked as one of the city's art dealers, and in 1652 Vermeer assumed ownership of the business while pursuing a career in painting. It is not clear under whom Vermeer studied painting, but according to authors Anthony and H.W. Janson, he may have studied with Karel Fabricius, who was considered one of Rembrandt's greatest pupils, or he may have studied with the Utrecht school of painters. Regardless of his training, Vermeer's masterful ability to turn scenes of Dutch life into awe-inspiring works of art is one not often matched by other artists. In fact, in his book Secret Knowledge, Rediscovering the Lost Techniques of the Old Masters, David Hockney theorizes that Vermeer's amazing ability to render his paintings with such lifelike accuracy may have been because Vermeer utilized optic aids like camera lucidas and camera obscuras. Vermeer specialized in genre paintings, a term for works that feature scenes that are seemingly plucked out of everyday life. Vermeer's works often show members of the Dutch middle class at home simply going about their lives, perhaps studying, painting, or receiving a music lesson. This painting, titled The Letter, features many of Vermeer's stylistic trademarks. In it, we see a well-dressed young woman in yellow interrupted while playing the lute. In her hand we see a letter she receives from a servant dressed in a plain olive-colored blouse and a vibrantly blue skirt. The brilliant blue of the skirt, which is also found in the marbled tiles on the floor, was created by using expensive minerals like lapis lazuli and ultramarine as pigments in oil paints. Vermeer's penchant for using expensive materials did not end there. For example, he used umbers and ochres to create the warm light that brightens his scenes, a light that, more often than not, comes in through a window from the left. Authors Anthony and H.W. Janson write that, unlike his predecessors, Vermeer does not rely on creating a strong narrative within his genre paintings. Instead, Vermeer's snapshots of everyday life use much more subtle techniques in order to intrigue viewers and to tell a story. Upon viewing this work, one might be puzzled as to what this mystery letter contains. The lute is often connected to eroticism, and the image of ships at sea held romantic meanings for the Dutch, so one might be able to deduce that this letter might be from a lover. But even without knowledge of what these symbols mean, one can gain all one needs to know based just off the expressions on the women's faces. The young woman, letter in hand, glances upward at her maid with a questioning yet cautiously optimistic look. One can almost see her expression change to one of effervescent giddiness as she realizes who sent the letter. Meanwhile, the maid gazes down at the envelope with a knowing look in her eyes and a reluctant grin creeping across her face. Vermeer's brilliance as a painter comes not only from his storytelling ability, but also from how he creates the relationship between viewer and subject. The scene is framed such that the audience is placed just outside the room, peeking in to see what is going on. The viewer is immediately drawn into the universe of the painting such that it almost feels like we are surreptitiously eavesdropping on a conversation we should not be listening to. Vermeer's ability to create this reality around us is what truly makes him a great artist.
This painting is The Lion Hunt by Eugene Delacroix, which was done in 1861. This painting is done with oil on canvas and is currently located in the Chicago Art Institute. This painting shows a lion hunting scene in North Africa, which is where Delacroix visited with the French embassy in 1832. His visit to North Africa was very influential because it affected his art in both subject and form. Looking at this painting, there are a lot of things going on. At first glance, there are 8 hunters dressed in bright red and white colors with turbans on their heads. They are evenly distributed in the painting and putting up a fight with 2 lions. The lions, which are drawn in light yellow, seem to show strength and fierceness towards the hunters. The male lion is pinning down a hunter on the ground and is roaring at the other hunters, and the other lion is on the back of the horse and is also roaring. One hunter is holding up his arms to protect himself, and another hunter is in the process of falling with the horse. The other hunters are aiming at the lions with spears and are ready to attack. Behind all the violence, the background is an empty shore, a cold and stormy sea, and a stormy sky with gray clouds. These gloomy background details are commonly used in many of Delacroix's paintings. When looking at the painting, Delacroix uses brilliant and vivid colors. As a leading figure of Romanticism, Delacroix uses colors freely and expressively in his paintings. The hunting scene has bright colors which gives a sense of tension and movement. For instance, the red mantles on the hunters show aggression and belligerence, whereas the yellow on the lions shows energy and fierceness. Complementary colors are shown, such as red with green, blue with orange, and yellow with purple. Delacroix's use of brilliant colors can be traced back to the hunting pictures of Rubens, who also loved showing movement and colors in his paintings. Delacroix's hunt pictures show that Rubens had a great influence on Delacroix. In the painting, the figures of the hunters are distributed evenly in a circle, and the identity and the details of the hunters and the lions can be clearly seen even though the scene is chaotic. However, the background is set very high and most of the ground is shown, which gives the illusion of making the hunting scene less crowded. In a sense, this gives a background more power and strength and shows a perfect harmony between the figures and the landscape, which is something previous painters have never tried before in hunt scenes. Delacroix's painting is also unique in that it is hard to tell whether the hunters or the lions won the battle. In hunt scenes done by previous artists, animals are always shown as being chased or killed, and humans are shown as heroic and powerful hunters who kill and dominate over these animals. In Delacroix's hunt scene, one can hardly tell whether the hunters or the lions are at an advantage. Both sides seem to be fighting evenly, and the result of the battle is left ambiguous. The ambiguous result of the hunt may be due to the fact that Delacroix viewed nature as something to be respected. He believed that animals in nature no longer serve humans but have their own independent positions. The facial expressions, muscles, and arms of the lions are almost human-like, a good example of anthropomorphism. Delacroix shows the power of the animals and foreboding landscape to put across the idea that humans do not control nature but must continually fight the destructive force that nature brings. Delacroix's focus on the power of nature and use of colors influenced Impressionist and Post-Impressionist artists later.